This is Global Forum TV. In our new series today, India 2025, we bring you eminent personalities from India and share their vision, comments, and opinions about what India would look like in 2025. This is your host, Ameena Saeed.
The mantra to understand India is Gandhi. Once you understand Gandhi, then you know the way out is there.
If you are going to promote chauvinism of the majority, or what I call chauvinism of the majority, either through the BJP, the opposition Bharatiya Janata Party, or otherwise through one of its ancillaries of what is called the Sangh Parivar, you're going to atomize the Indian political scene.
Rift is going to be China.
Okay.
India will become, as far as some of the core issues of the world are concerned, the global laboratory. Income inequalities have never been more explosive than they are today. I mean, you know, this is it's always been an unequal and hierarchical society.
India is a very stabilizing force. Indian history, Indian culture, and Indian population, Indian immigrants abroad, all this shows that India is an extraordinarily stabilizing force with the capacity for integration.
The whole world is looking at India as the future of this entire globe.
A great country, a proud country, but a country which under capitalism is unfortunately very much unequal. A country in which a part is the urban India and the rest is rural Bharat.
Hi, welcome to Global Forum TV, a platform for global issues with global perspectives in today's global village. In this segment of Global Forum, we continue with the series India 2025, in which we bring you eminent personalities from India to share their vision, opinions, and views on India 2025. We have today in our studio Mr. Praful Bidwai, an eminent journalist. When Praful Bidwai writes, people read, and when they read, they take notice. He is a freelance journalist and regular columnist for several leading newspapers in India. His first notable work in journalism was a columnist for Economic and Political Weekly of Bombay, beginning in 1972. He was later an editor of Business India and a special correspondent for Financial Express of Bombay. He served as editor of the Times of India between 1981 and 1993, eventually becoming its senior editor. So, a visiting professor at the Nelson Mandela Center for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Some of the books that Praful Bidwai has written, co-authored or edited are South Asia on a Short Fuse, Nuclear Politics and the Future of Global Disarmament, Testing Times, The Global Stake in a Nuclear Test Ban, Religion, Religiosity and Communalism, India Under Siege, Challenges Within and Without, Atoms for Peace, A Failed Nation. We are happy and welcome to Global Forum TV. Mr. Praful, where do you see India today?
Well, it's at a very, very critical crossroads. It's globalizing rapidly, but in a totally unbalanced manner. You have fast GDP growth, but with a decrease in employment. You have a booming services sector, but the agrarian economy is doing extremely badly. In fact, 100,000 farmers have committed suicide over the past decade. You know, this is an unprecedented figure in any country of the world, as far as I know. Well, apart from that, apart from this very problematic and paradoxical and contradictory economic growth, you also have in some respects, social retrogression. Yeah. For instance, the rate at which female fetuses are being killed and aborted has grown exponentially over the past decade or two. The new consumerism in the middle class is driving this terrible prejudice against women. At the same time, you also have a growth of very sectarian, parochial fundamentalist tendencies in society and politics. There's growing intolerance of, dissent and difference in some. I mean, for instance, India's best known modern painter, M.F. Hussain, was driven by Hindu fanatics out of the country, and he's actually been living in exile in London and Dubai for the past 2 years. I mean, it's a shame. He's 90 years old and can't even return home. That's the kind of intolerance we have. Just the other day, Taslima Nasreen, the Bangladeshi writer who's taken refuge in India, was attacked by a bunch of Muslim fanatics. So this kind of stuff is growing, I'm afraid. And the only secure defense against some of these tendencies is the process of democratization, and that is our sole defense, as it were. Even that is coming under a certain amount of pressure and threat from the forces of globalization, from the forces of elitist economic policy making, which want to exclude the people from decision making about everything.
What is India's globalization strategy, and where do you see India in 2025 in the superpower scenario?
Well, it's hard to say, but I have two scenarios. Let's say the optimistic one is that that the empowerment of the people, which has taken place over past 60 years of independence, the fact that they've come into public life and politics for the first time after hundreds of generations, right? Billions of people have actually entered public life and feel empowered by that fact. So in the optimistic scenario, the trend towards the empowerment of people, their politicization, and their participation in democratic processes gets strengthened and acts as a brake on the on the sort of elitist processes that are at work. This is tremendously dualistic form of economic growth that we have. I mean, income explosives, income inequalities have never been more explosive than they are today. I mean, it's always been an unequal and hierarchical society, but what neoliberal policies have done, what globalization has done, what liberalization has done in the past 1.5 decades is to actually increase inequalities so sharply that there's really, there's absolutely nothing in common between the rich in India, who live as well, as lavishly as the rich in, say, the United States or Switzerland or wherever, and the poor, who are the wretched of the earth. I mean, they earn less than, 70% of the population of this country earns less than $50 a day. I mean, these are new numbers that have come, right?
Right. So in 2025, you see the inequality growing?
No, as I see it, if the empowering and democratizing tendencies prevail, then they will act as a check. But that will mean a change of policy. The pessimistic scenario is that the present trend continues, and that you have greater inequalities, you have greater political turbulence, you have greater social discontent, you have serious possibility of destabilization of large parts of the country, the state collapsing in parts of the country. I mean, what you're seeing now is two Indias, right? Half a dozen states attract 2/3 of all investment out of the 28 states we have, and 7 territories. So, and this cannot go on. You have to have a corrective mechanism. And my pessimistic scenario is that the ruling elite will fail to understand this.
Okay. Where will India be in 2025 in terms of super and regional powers?
Look, I'm not a great admirer of superpowers or superpowerdom.
Neither am I, but we still have them.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't like India to become a superpower. I would like India to be a responsible power which cares for its own people in the first place, but which also contributes to making the world a better place, a more peaceful place, a less conflict-prone place, which and I think that is India's contribution. I think, and that contribution must be understood in context. I mean, when Nehru became India's first Prime Minister,